Welcome to St. Louis on the Air. I'm Sarah Fenske. The goal of Circus Harmony isn't to turn kids into circus professionals. The nonprofit, quote, social circus organization was formed 18 years ago. The goal to bring Jewish and Muslim children together. Its mission later grew to build circus troupes that connect other diverse communities, both racially and economically. Yet Circus Harmony has nevertheless built a remarkable record of molding kids into circus pros. It now boasts 4 alumni currently touring with Cirque du Soleil, the largest circus company in the world. These kids aren't coming from an elite world of tumbling classes as toddlers or parents pushing them into early gymnastics. Cirque du Soleil performer Sidney Iking Bateman is currently touring the world as part of Cirque du Soleil's Lucia show, and he's been a circus professional now for over a decade. But back when he got involved with Circus Harmony as an 11-year-old, he was just a troubled kid.
I only started as an after-school program. It was something to consume my time and keep me out of trouble because I was in lots of trouble when I was a kid. I was in a gang. I also lived in a very, very rough neighborhood. And circus was actually my escape. And it sounds cliche to say, but it was what saved my life. But at the time, I didn't know these things. It was just something that was fun and consumed so much of my time. And I went there every day after school almost. And I eventually fell in love with it over the years.
Melvin Diggs has perhaps an even more surprising origin story. He, too, was a kid from a tough neighborhood who'd gotten in some trouble. But he was connected to Big Brothers Big Sisters and then the Boys and Girls Club. They placed him in a job working with Circus Harmony at the City Museum. Well, they were impressed with his work ethic, and when the summer was over, they offered him a job in the snack bar. That's when he finally noticed the art form that would change his life.
So basically, I was in school. And I was kind of like steering off to the wrong path, but I ended up getting introduced to the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and through that program, I started to kind of like steer back on the right path. I started going to a place called Herbert Hoover Boys and Girls Club, and that place offered us a summer job because in St. Louis that's the worst time for you to actually get into the worst type of things. So they figured if they keep us occupied through summer, then we will be, you would kind of stay out of trouble a little bit more. And there was one day where I was headed to the back to restock, and I saw actually Sidney, and he was tumbling in the ring, and I thought it was absolutely crazy. I really, really liked it, and I really wanted to learn it. So long story short, I actually talked to Jessica at some point, and she told me the way to take classes to be able to learn the backflip. I took classes, and the progression kind of took off really quickly. And before I knew it, I was a member of the St. Louis Artists.
That's Melvin Diggs. He spoke with our producer Evie Hemphill over the phone from Vancouver as he was getting ready to do 2 Cirque du Soleil shows in one day. Jessica Hentoff is the artistic and executive director of Circus Harmony, and the work of graduates like Sidney Iking Bateman and Melvin Diggs is a huge source of pride. She's here in the studio to tell us all about it. Jessica Hentoff, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You were just in Vancouver last weekend. What was it like seeing 3 of your alumni perform with that troupe there?
It's wonderful, and I mean wonder-full because those 3 young men came up together, but this is the first time that they were all on the same show together. Mm-hmm. So I went there particularly to see that. I'd seen Lucia and I'd seen Sidney and Melvin in it, but to see them with T-Roc also was extraordinary.
Now, you also took a trip to Chicago with some current students. You've got a 4th alumni performing there. What was the current students' reaction to seeing these past participants in action?
So we took 25 people up to Chicago, there and back in one day, 5.5-hour drive each way, to see another alumni, Chauncey Kroner, who's performing with the new Cirque du Soleil holiday show, 'Twas the Night Before, which opens in New York this week. And they were there at 6 a.m. to get in the cars, and we all went. It was fabulous. They're so inspired by these young men, and they all come back and work with them. In fact, before Chauncey left to work with Cirque, he had choreographed a hoop diving act, acrobatic hoop diving, which will be performed in our upcoming show, Fluente, in January. So they got to see their coach performing hoop diving on the big stage with Cirque du Soleil. And Sidney comes back all the time and coaches people. You can see a lot of the influence of our alumni, not just as inspirational role models, but as actual teachers, because they all realize the importance of giving back.
Now, for those of you listening, we're wondering, have you watched the Circus Harmony youth perform, or have you been involved with the organization yourself? What makes it so great? You can give us a call at 314-382-8255. That's 382-TALK. Or you can send us a tweet at STL On Air or email us at talk@stlpublicradio.org. Now, Jessica, we heard a bit earlier from Melvin and Sidney Iking. There are two other alumni now with Cirque du Soleil. That's Terrance T-Roc Robinson and Chauncey Kroner. Do they have similar backgrounds to Melvin and Iking?
So T-Roc has the best, I think, origin story with Circus Harmony in that I went a different way to work one day and was driving down the street and saw some kids tumbling on the street. And I know you're not supposed to call them over to your car.
Or at least they're not supposed to walk over to your car. They
I
should
didn't
have known
want to
better.
encourage bad behavior. So I went to the security guard of their school and I gave him a bunch of my business cards and I said I run a circus school if any of them are interested. And T-Roc started coming, and now he's with Cirque du Soleil. But those three who are on Lucia have also toured with other shows. We have other alumni touring around the world. One of our alumni, Claire, is now Claire Wallenda because she married Alex Wallenda, and she walks the high wire. And we have alumni here at home. Eliana Grace is our lead aerial coach, and she has a one-woman show at City Museum. Her brother, Kellen Quinn, is writing and directing our current annual show, which will be happening the last 2 weekends in January. We have local alumni who are teachers. We teach circus at Ames Elementary School, and Tiffany Harris is a 4th grade school teacher there. We have somebody who's an accountant in the city of St. Louis's office, and we have Keaton is traveling with Circa Contemporary Circus based in Australia. They're everywhere.
Yeah, these alumni they're taking over the world.
Because we teach them to be successful not just in circus, but in life. And that's the point of Circus Harmony, is that it's a social circus, and it builds character in individuals and builds bridges between communities while they're learning to flip, fly, and fling.
We actually got an email from Tara who writes, Circus Harmony has changed my family's life. My son is a very strong and coordinated athlete, but because of his ADHD, he has had a difficult time playing team sports. We found Circus Harmony's summer camp the summer of 2018, and our son has soared ever since. They have taken his abilities and matched them with circus arts. He can flip, tumble, unicycle, and juggle while standing on a globe. Yeah. They are a family always looking out for each other. Some of these testimonials are just great, but hearing some of these stories, I guess what surprises me the most is how old some of these kids are. Melvin's story, he must have already been in his mid to late teens when he decided to take this on, and now he's with this elite troupe. Is that unusual that people are joining you when they're already past grade school?
No, although it's also not unusual that we have people who start when they're 5 and stay with us through high school. Mm-hmm. And part of it is because we're at City Museum, we have classes there all the time. Our young people, once you're past a certain level, you are welcome to come every day to train. And I will tell you that although aptitude counts for a lot, attitude counts for more every time. So the ones who really want to work and put the work in, all I can do is go, here are the tools you need, but you have to use them. Here is the path, here's a map, but you have to walk it. Nobody can do your push-ups for you. So no, you're never too late to run away and join the circus. We had a woman who started her aerial career at 80 and was still on the trapeze at 93. Now, she didn't go off and do Cirque du Soleil, but in your 80s and 90s doing aerial, it's a very empowering art form. And because circus, by its very nature, is made up of a number of different genres, it's not like if you can't sing, you're not going to be in the High School Musical. If you can't go fast, you're not going to get the soccer ball. In circus, maybe you're not a great tumbler, but you have good balance and you can ride a unicycle, or you have good eye coordination and you can juggle, or we will help develop all these. But that's what we do, like what Tara was saying about her son, is we help young people find their strengths and empower them so that not only do they appreciate themselves more, other people appreciate them.
Now, Sidney Iking Bateman told our producers about how he decided to pursue circus work.
But after during high school, I had a really big decision, like, what do I do with my life? And unfortunately, I had spiraled down the drain. I took the wrong street, not literally the wrong street, metaphorically the wrong street, and I was just in such a bad place in my head. I had walked away from circus. I was in the gang. And then it took my really good friend of mine. He was shot and killed. and I kind of wanted to change my life around. And so I went back into circus, and then I was a bit more serious about it. And then after high school, I wanted to leave St. Louis and go to the National Circus School, which is the feeder school for Cirque du Soleil, based in Montreal, Canada. And I applied for that school, and I did the tryouts. And luckily, I got accepted. And that's how the journey began.
That's, again, Sidney Iking Bateman. Jessica, how do you plant the seed to make kids in this program aware of this bigger world beyond St. Louis and these possibilities that, as we now know from your alumni, these possibilities are very real for them if they can just keep their head in the game?
They see it instantly. First of all, circus is a very appealing art form. So you come because you think it's fun. But we talk all the time about our alumni, and they're always coming and visiting, and you can see them on social media. In fact, at the top of both our Facebook and Twitter feeds, there's a mini documentary about Sidney Iking Bateman that was made by PBS's American Experience. That's really interesting, that goes into more depth. For a lot of them, though, they didn't realize it was possible. Mm-hmm. And Melvin and Sidney, their first act that they toured with, a show called Seven Fingers, the soundtrack of the act was them talking about growing up African American in St. Louis, waiting to be the next person shot or arrested. And that was recorded the summer of 2014 before Mike Brown was killed in Ferguson. And that act toured around the world. Mm-hmm. And I had people writing to me who had seen it around the world. Circus, people think it's fluffy like cotton candy. It's a very powerful art form. And that's why when people hear that we have like an annual show, it's not just for kids. To see the circus is inspiring on every level. But certainly the kids who come get inspired, and they see what's possible, and it's a whole world. The young men that you were talking to, they've been all over the world. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, oh, we have to go to Moscow again, you know. But it's amazing, and everything has opened up to them, and circus has that ability. Circus to me is just a really magical art form to experience and to be part of. And you see them, they're superhuman, but they're also ordinary kids, and they do extraordinary things because they found their path to Circus Harmony, and that set them on a life path that's now inspiring people around the world.
We're talking to Jessica Hentoff, who's the executive director of Circus Harmony. And it's interesting you say that because Melvin Diggs told us that it's no overstatement to say that Circus Harmony completely changed his trajectory.
It probably definitely saved my life. Like, I had no idea where I was going. And before I even got to the end of high school, they helped me through so many things. And it goes way further than just learning the circus skill or a backflip. You are provided a family. You know, it's a community. And honestly, when I was in my upbringing, I wasn't introduced to that many different races of people, or actually working with them or getting to know them and learning more about their cultures as well. It's so special. Like you have to be introduced and open-minded just so you can all work towards your common goal. So Circus Harmony definitely opened my mind up, opened my eyes up, made me a better young man. It actually shaped me to become a man. So I would say that for anybody that would like to have something that can test their minds physically and open up their eyes culturally and just in each and every way, I think Circus Harmony is a very good way to do it. Because I was very hard-headed and I did not like to listen to authority, but Jessica really whipped me into shape. She drove me to and from home constantly. She provided us with food when we didn't have anything to eat. Like, she was just absolutely she was an angel. She was just super, super kind.
Wow. That was Melvin Diggs. And I've seen Jessica's face here just go through. She's gone from kind of laughing at him admitting what trouble he was to, I think, being a little touched when you heard him describe you as an angel. Our producer actually spoke with Iking and Melvin on the same day that you saw them perform last week in Vancouver. Here's what Iking had to say about that.
She gets to watch us on stage, but we wouldn't have this opportunity if it wasn't for her and her program. Most importantly, her, because she never gave up on us. I'm going to speak for myself. She never gave up on me when I gave up on myself. So I'm happy to repay her by doing what I can do on stage, and I love to see her super happy when she watches.
So, again, that was Iking, who was a part of this program and still is to this day. So, Jessica Hentoff, if people want to learn more about Circus Harmony, I know there's another circus in town, but this is Circus Harmony.
There's Circus Flora, and they put on a show every month in June, and we are thrilled to be part of it. We perform with them, and Iking and Melvin have done their acts for them, and so has T-Roc. But we're the only social circus school in town. We're based at City Museum, circusharmony.org. People can take classes. They can come to shows. We have over 700 free shows that we present with your City Museum admission. Our students and teachers are performing every day the museum is open. We have our big annual show, Fluente, coming up, an undersea circus adventure written and directed by one of our alumni, and a lot of the acts were choreographed by alumni. So there are a lot of ways to get involved. We have classes, special classes right now. Eliana's offering special winter aerial classes for all ages. So just go to circusharmony.org, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can run away and join the circus but still be home in time for dinner or take off.
Jessica Hentoff of Circus Harmony, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. That's 90.7 KWMU. Thank you for listening. I'm Sarah Fenske.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.